Hi there. So today we're going to do a really lovely somatic practice focusing on the lower back. We're going to work through the spine quite a bit, but really predominantly working on the lower half of the spine and the mobility around the hips. So I hope that you find this of use. As always, when we're doing our somatic practice, we're wanting to work within a comfortable range of movement. So if you have any issues and niggles with the low back, then I want you to really take care and be gentle with this. If you come across movement that is aggravating any difficulties, any issues that you have in this area or anywhere else in the body, then know that sometimes it can be better to just imagine the movement. So bring the movement right down to something so subtle that it's just the muscles almost moving. And then the thought process around how that might increase through the imagination first. And you will find benefit from that more than you will from moving in an uncomfortable range of movement. So if you've got any questions about that, please do not hesitate to get in touch with me. And otherwise, I really hope you enjoy this. This is something that I find very useful. I have a lot of issues personally around my lower back and my hips, so this is a really lovely practice that I enjoy. So I hope that you will enjoy it too. So we're wanting to find ourselves very comfortable on the ground. We're going to stay lying on our backs today, but if you do feel like you need your head to be raised a little bit so that your chin is not too high when you lie down on your back, then feel free to have something very low. Blankets are better than pillows, because with blankets you can sort of fold them over and step up how high the head is raised and lower it down a little bit easier, rather than with a pillow where we just sort of sink into it. So let yourself find whatever you need. And then as you're ready, you're going to lie yourself onto your back, and we're going to start lying comfortably. So landing on your back, again, that head might be very slightly raised just in order to bring the forehead more or less the same height as the chin. And as you land, legs straight, legs bent, whatever's better for you, arms out to the side or resting on the body to start off with, as you choose. And as you land, just let yourself notice, eyes closed down. Just get a sense of how you're feeling in your body on the ground. Just a note about the ground that you're lying on. You might just notice whether it's very firm and hard if you're on a soft, very thick, soft mat, or if you're on a very thick carpet, you might find it a little bit more cushioned. We don't want to do this work on a mattress or on a very sort of thickly soft surface, because we really want that feedback from the ground. So let yourself land and notice where the ground might dig into you a little, where you dig into the ground a little. Notice where there are points of your body that feel very heavy and points of the body that sort of squash into the ground. As you just really bring the attention inwards, having the eyes closed for as much of the practice as you can, really helping to bring your attention inwards. Really honouring the time that you can spend focusing on this fabulous physical body with all its quirks, with all its challenges, and with all its fabulous abilities. As you land here, just setting an intention to be present in your body, to be generous to your body. As you explore with curiosity. As you're lying here, you might notice where the breath moves. You might start to notice differences right side to left side. Maybe one leg feels heavier than the other or more relaxed than the other. One leg might feel longer or somehow more detached. or further away. So just scanning through the body, noticing what you can feel, listening. And then bringing your attention into your back, particularly noticing the hips, the back of the hips as they land down, whether you feel even or weighted more into one side or the other. Notice if there's a gap between the back of the waist and the floor, whether that's a large gap or a small gap. Notice where the ribs land into the ground. Again, whether there's more weight into one side or the other. And how the shoulder blades sort of snuggle underneath the back between the ribs and the ground. You're getting a sense of the shape of your spine and how gravity is affecting how the spine lands. And then you're going to bend your knees very gently, just bending one knee in at a time. Maybe the hands help a little. As you bend the knees in, then noticing what adjustments you make to find the spine comfortable. So with your knees now pointing to the ceiling, they might fall slightly in towards each other. And just noticing now how the back lands and how the hips land. And we're going to start to find a little bit of movement. So I want you to think about the pelvis and finding a very subtle little tip forwards and back into the pelvis. So a little anterior, posterior tilt of the pelvis. So if you think of the hip bones at the front of your hips, very gently just moving away from your lower ribs as you tip the pelvis anteriorly. And then very slowly just tipping those front hip bones back in towards you as you tip posteriorly. Very small movements, just that very gentle little rock forwards and back. As you're doing this, you might find that those arms are more comfortable out to the sides so that the shoulders can sort of snuggle in under the back. But you might also find that maybe every now and then you just want to bring your hands onto the hips to get a bit of tactile feedback and just see what it feels like, how much movement is happening where the right side and left side move together. Very small forwards, backwards movement. And then we're going to think about that anterior tilt. So in our anterior tilt, we're bringing the front hip bones away. So you're going to, as you do this, very gently contract into those lower back muscles. And we're going to keep with that, start to increase it. Keep breathing as you do so, starting to find those lower back muscles increasing the tonicity. As you do, the arch between the back of the waist and the floor increases. Breathing as you move a little deeper, a little deeper. Try and keep the neck relaxed. Finding those lower back muscles engage. Again, remember, no discomfort as you do this. So making sure you're only moving in a comfortable range. Gently arching into the back, feeling that arch. And then as you're ready, taking a breath in. And then as you exhale, starting to release the effort, starting to slowly with control lengthen out through that lower back. We're starting to eliminate the gap between the back of the waist and the floor and feel the whole of the lower back spread into the ground. Feel as though the hips sort of spread sideways as well as spreading down, tailbone sort of slightly tucking as you spread the back into the ground. And then from there, releasing the effort completely. You'll find that the abdomen was engaged in finding that little flatten. So let that all relax now. And just notice how the back lands comfortably. what kind of shape the back makes and how the spine lands. And then we're going to do that in the other direction. So we're going to bring the idea of these front hip bones. So imagine them very slightly starting to tip towards the lower ribs. Maybe imagining them almost trying to tip inwards towards each other. So we're engaging gently into the lower abdomen. As you do this, I want you to try and keep your glutes relaxed. So we want the glutes and the hamstrings, the lower back to be very relaxed. Really using the abdominal muscles to contract into the front of the abdomen. And we're spreading out that lower back. So as you contract into the front of the abdomen here, lower ribs start to draw in a little. Those front hip bones drawing in and towards the lower ribs. Keep the breath moving, so make sure you're not holding your breath here. Then as you're ready, taking a breath in. It might be quite constricted as you're contracting so much into the abdomen. And then as you're ready, very gently starting to release. As you release, release with control, softly, smoothly, allowing the belly to relax. As you allow the belly to relax, feel those front hip bones spread away from your lower ribs, from each other. The breath gets a little deeper with each breath. Feel free to yawn if you need. And just allowing the belly to expand out. And then letting that relax. And as you relax there, releasing all the effort, all the tension, and just noticing again how the back lands and how the hips land. And hopefully they feel like they're in a slightly more neutral position. So you will have discovered whether you have that tendency to grip into the front of the body, what we call the red light reflex in the hips, or whether you have a tendency to grip into the lower back, that green light tendency in that lower back. So just breathing into the space. If you want to go through that again, feel free to sort of pause the video or rewind it, go back and do that over again each way. And getting to the point where you can feel the hips just gently in a very neutral place, quite free of tension. And then we're going to play around with this a little bit more. So I want you to think about that arch of the back. So we're going to find the tailbone dropping down towards the floor, finding that arch in the back. Not too much effort, just find this quite easily. And then from there, we're going to press into the heels and lift the hips up away from the ground. So as you lift the hips, pressing into the heels, make sure the knees point forwards and don't let them fall out to the sides. And then from there, as you lift up, we're going to slowly start to lower through the spine, trying to curl down, as though you're trying to place one vertebra at a time down onto the ground. Very gently, carefully, lowering all the way down. Good. So you might find that the vertebrae move in different order. You might find that they sort of come down in clumps, or even lower down vertebra come down before upper vertebra. We're trying to just see how it feels as you curl down through the spine. Let the tailbone, let the coccyx be the last thing that comes down, the base of the pelvis, the lower part of the pelvis. And then as that comes down, allow yourself to just come into a very gentle little arch. Arching the lower back away from the floor, and then just relaxing the effort before we come into another round. As we come into another round, we're going to shift the position of the arms. So you're going to bring the arms either out to the side, palms face up, or if you've got space in the shoulders, you're aiming to bend the arms so that the palms face up, almost sort of cactus, but a bit softer into the arms. If doing this means that your arms sort of hang, then let the arms straighten out until you can let those hands, arms, elbows, shoulders relax down. And then once you've got that position, again, stabilize the feet somewhere comfortably underneath the legs, and then we're going to find our little arch again. So very gently arching through the back. Again, really comfortably, not too much effort, but just feel those back muscles active. And then from there, pressing into the heels as you lift the hips away from the ground. Good. Just seeing how it feels to lift your spine up away from the ground. You might be able to lift a little higher this time. And then as you're ready, we're going to start to curl through the spine. So as you curl through the spine, lowering down one vertebra at a time. If you imagine a string of beads and you're very gently, you're lifting up one end of the beads and then you're lowering it down, trying to place one bead down at a time, almost lengthening them along, almost imagining your spine getting longer as you lower this back all the way back down. Take your time. Keep breathing as you do this. Try and notice the knees pointing away from you. You might feel like one leg or the other is struggling to stay in position. It might want to fall out or fall in. So just let yourself notice what's happening. Be very conscious and aware. Once you get the back all the way down, take your time to get there and then do a little arch. Very, very gentle, just to release any of the tension across the front of the body and then let yourself relax. And we're going to do that one more time. So as you're doing this, again, let yourself be as comfortable and rested as possible. Let your jaws be relaxed. Let the breath move. We're finding a little arch in the back, keeping the shoulders relaxed. And then pressing into the heels, into the feet as you lift the hips. Good. And then from there, lowering down one vertebra at a time. So just noticing what it takes to find this movement. And as I said earlier, keeping those eyes closed as much as you can. That really helps to keep the attention inwards. If you notice differences right side and left side, really try and learn from that. Notice where you're gripping on one side and not on the other. Try and find a comfortable range of movement. Learn from both sides of the body equally. Gently, gently moving through your spine. Take your time. Slower you can go, the better. Really explore and enjoy exploring what's available. How slow you can move. You might find sort of juddery, jerky movement where the body's struggling to keep that slow control. And once the hips are down, letting the body relax into a very gentle arch. And then letting it relax. Good. And then from there, letting your legs relax. So that might mean bringing the feet wide, letting the knees fall in. It might just mean letting those legs straighten out. If you can straighten the legs out, then maybe do. So just allowing the arms to come out to the sides, palms face up. And as you land, just noticing. Get a sense of how your back lands. Is there any difference now compared to prior to doing those movements in terms of literally how your back lands on the ground? Or somatically, how your body feels? You might notice a difference in how and where the breath moves. And then we're going to bend the knees in one more time. So again, very gently, one leg at a time, bending those knees in. Let the feet land comfortably, so don't feel like you need to sort of squeeze those feet in and touch the heels. There's no sort of right or wrong position here, but let the feet land comfortably. Let the legs feel supported. You might feel like the knees want to turn in a little. Let the feet land comfortably. And then this time, we're going to find a very gentle little arch and flatten movement. So remember that posterior, anterior pelvic tilt. Very gently, just moving forwards and backwards on the back of the pelvis. Now, as you're doing this, I want you to imagine a clock face is painted or drawn onto your lower abdomen. So as you're rolling forwards and back, rocking gently forwards and back through the pelvis, imagine that there is a marble on your clock face and you're rolling the marble between 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. So you're rolling it between the number 12 and the number 6. And trying to roll it really smoothly. So trying to really control the movement of that marble. So it's not just sort of flying one way and then the other. Really controlling the movement. And then I want you to imagine that clock face and that marble, but we're going to start rolling the marble between 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Gently, gently, and again with just as much control. Gently, gently shifting that marble from 3 to 9. Now aim to keep the knees more or less up and down. What we don't want to do is swing the knees side to side without the hips going. What we want is the hips to be the thing that's moving. The legs will passively move a little bit as well. Now, as you're doing this, again, try and keep the eyes closed. Really feel into the hips and notice what it takes to move one side and what it takes to move to the other side. Keep the breath steady and allow yourself to acknowledge any differences right side to left side. The differences might be in the range of movement in the hips, or it might be in the muscles that control the movement or grip around the movement, either around the hips or in the back or in the abdomen or maybe in the legs. Maybe even in the shoulders or the hands. You might find as you go to one side, one of the shoulders starts to grip and tense. Notice, just notice. And notice what you can do to very gently start to even out symmetry in the movement. Another reminder, make sure this is comfortable movement the whole time. So we're going to keep this analogy of the clock face. So imagery of the clock face on your abdomen, that marble rolling. We're going to start to roll the marble around the outside edge of the clock. So as you roll it around the outside, meeting each number as you go. Just getting a sense of how it feels as you roll around. You might find some numbers easier to access. You might find other numbers really quite hard to find. You might find parts of the movement a bit jumpy or stuttery. Just move and notice. And then as you're ready, you're going to change the direction of the movement. Just notice how that feels. Another image that might help you find this, if you imagine when you spin a coin on a table, and then as it stops or it starts to slow down, it starts to roll around the outer edges. And so that's kind of the movement that's happening on the back of the pelvis. The outer edges rolling around, but much slower. Slower you can go, the better. Exploring all the space that's available within a comfortable, controlled range of movement. Just a little note to check in with your feet. Maybe notice you might have one foot sort of guiding the movement, pressing into the floor more than the other. So just notice if that's the case again, just trying to even it out into something more symmetrical if that's available. As you're ready, we're just going to go back the other way again, just a couple of breaths back in the other direction. Try and find this movement to become easier. So less effort, find ease in the movement, and then go changing directions again. Again, trying to keep an ease of movement. Continuous breathing. And then as you're ready, we're going to pause. So taking your time to pause. Always take your time. Always continue if there's something else you want to play with. And we're going to rest from here. If you feel the need to just bring the knees into the chest and take a little rock side to side, then feel free to do that. Or maybe letting the feet come wide and letting the knees just rock a little side to side. And then whenever you're ready, you're going to be letting your legs straighten out, letting the arms land out to the sides if that's comfortable, and letting yourself just land. As you land, maybe just a little wiggle, just soften through the body, wiggle everything out very gently, and then land. So this time as we land, we're going to find our final resting pose, our Shavasana. So as you land, knowing that your whole body is able to completely relax down, and as your body relaxes down, your eyes are closed, whole body is relaxed. Notice how the body lands into the ground, where there is parts of the body that dig into the ground or press into the ground, and where there's parts of the body that just soften or squish into the ground. Notice particularly how your back spreads, how the back meets the ground beneath you. Notice how the breath moves and where there's freedom for the breath to explore the whole capacity of the lungs with ease. And then release the need to notice. Allow sensations in the body to arise. And allow these sensations and allow thoughts to come and go. And maybe settling in the space between the thoughts. attention to your breath. Allowing the breath to expand a little broader, bringing some movement into the fingers, the arms, the shoulders, maybe into the toes, the ankles, the thighs. Maybe moving the face and letting the head move side to side. Finding little shifts, stretches, wriggles into the body. Maybe bringing the knees into the chest and taking a little rock side to side. Just do whatever movement feels useful to you to just bring that awareness, that energy, that movement back into your body. And then as you're ready, you're going to ease yourself gently over onto your right side. Take your time and allow your eyes to stay closed or let your eyes come to a soft focus as you gently ease yourself up to a comfortable seat. As you come upright, legs land however they land, and then let the palms of the hands come together with the thumbs pointing inward toward the chest. And just take a moment here to notice. Just noticing the sensations you can feel through the body and offering a sense of gratitude. And I thank you kindly. Namaste. I hope you found that sequence of movements useful, beneficial. If you have any questions, as always, please do not hesitate to get in touch. If you have particular areas of the body you'd like me to work on, then again, just let me know. And I wish you a beautiful day. Namaste. Thank you.